Hello, and thank you for clicking on this video. So I wanted to ask you, do you take time to slow down? Um, it's really something that it took me a long time to really understand the importance of slowing down. Um, Especially like in this modern age with everything that's going on, everything's faster, everything's more accessible, and we think it's good with technology. But man, does everything seem like, you know, it's fast. Like there's always multiple things going on at the same time, type of deal. Um, Now, of course, the idea, especially when I was growing up, we're the most advanced humans have ever been. We can get the most done in the quickest amount of time and the best way and all that stuff, right? Well, on a worldly measurement, like I've talked about, definitely on a physical worldly measurement, you can definitely make that argument, okay? However, there's a lot that we miss. I believe in our today's generation, and I've mentioned this before. How really, as far as what's important, like who we are, our what we put first, what we desire, and what we put our time and energy into, what we invest in, is more in the physical now than what it probably has in general for most of the history of humanity, right? And I've kind of mentioned before where, we think it's always like a progressive curve, like an upswing, up curve in general, as far as advancement for humanity over time. But really, in the most important ways, now it's there's always been it's always been the same as far as light versus dark, love versus lack of love and all that. But to the degree that it is today, and that's what's really important, that's what's eternal, is our decisions, our the decisions and the moments that we choose to be love or choose to be the lack of love. That's what it kind of really boils down to, and that's what's important. And learning how to do that, and trying to strive for that and desiring that. And with that measurement, really, we've kind of gone on the down curve. And Of course, there's rulers of darkness, and really from a young age, we are manipulated. And I've mentioned before, those boundaries, the box of our reality of what's possible and what is, and what's the right thing and the wrong thing, has really been constructed for us in many ways. And in today's world, where it's just 200% all the time, you really need to take time to slow down. Okay, you need to take time to slow down to really think. Okay, you need to take time to slow down to really appreciate what all of us really take for granted. And I really didn't become aware of this until really about 2.5, 3 years ago, when God really shook me and woke me up here. And I see things a lot differently now. And it's all about the moments. It's about this moment. It's about choosing to be love in this moment. It's choosing to be joy in this moment, over holding a grudge or being hateful or causing conflicts. It's all about this moment, appreciating what you have instead of desiring what you don't have. And that kind of goes to the glass half full, glass half empty video I did. But really, it's all about this moment, living in this moment. And it's important to really take time to slow down, to reset your mind, and stay focused on what the priorities are. Okay, because we can get so fast paced and caught up in a lot of really small things, but because we're caught up inside that boundary, it seems like it's everything. It means everything. Does that make sense? But in the real reality of things, it's really just about physical things that are temporary, that are dead things, that we really shouldn't invest as much as we do into them. We shouldn't invest as much of our desire into them, as our time and energy into them, and our choices, like choosing physical things over love, basically. And so it really is important to take time to slow down, to kind of make sure you got your mind right, your priorities right. And I struggle with this every day. I mean, but it is important to do that. And it's really, the more you experience God, the more you desire God, the more you desire His will on earth as it is in heaven, and know that He is here. Like, ever since that experience I've talked about, man, I see things differently. Like, it's like every sunset is beautiful. Just the interaction, like really just minutes ago, about 10 minutes ago, saw like how birds were interacting, and there's personalities there. Like, there's a lot, and even when right now, looking out the window, the wind blowing the trees, the way the trees kind of dance and sway, it's peaceful. And this time of year right now, seeing like the seeds, kind of flying, those white seeds flying around, just calmly, peacefully flowing so gently and smoothly. That's kind of peaceful when you get it, when you slow down to be aware of it. And these are really the blessings God gives us that we don't look at. We, in general, I know I didn't for most of my life, I didn't see it. Because, we're taught, like with science, that science, I would say in many ways, kind of takes away from the magic of God, just because we're used to it, and we're kind of told that there's randomness, like it's not designed. But really, when you take time to slow down and appreciate what's around you, you can see God's work. You see God. You see, it's hard to convey, because I know the mindset I had before 3 years ago. And so I try to imagine me talking to my old self, and it's just, and there's no way I can convince you, but it's just something I wanted to bring to your awareness, because you can be on the go so much, and you can be really just running in place, if that makes sense. You can accomplish these temporary things on this world, but are you really accomplishing what you're supposed to be doing here? Are you focused on trying to be love in every moment, or are you focused on trying to not get fired, living in fear? That's the very first video I brought up. Like, living in fear, you're acting in ways and doing things based off of fear of how others will perceive it, or what they will do to you. Anyways, it's very important to really take time to slow down. Okay. Even this phone that I've got like I'm making this video on. You know, when you're waiting in line somewhere or whatever, instead of getting on and scrolling on that phone, just take a moment to kind of breathe deeply and slowly and look around. Now, for me, too, one thing, I don't know if it has anything to do with it. I think it does, so I'm going to bring it up. But in my mid 20s to 30s, I practice like meditation, and it really helped me in many ways as far as being able to like separate my being able to control my emotions instead of having my emotions control me. And I've talked about that before. It really also helped me with really being stronger mentally, being able to I would say filter out the BS, if that makes sense, to not react as much as analyze and then act, if that makes sense. And really another thing too is, of course, I activated my chakras, and I really felt the prana, the chi, the energy. And one thing that was really eye-opening is really it feels the same way as like the Holy Spirit. Like it's all God. Okay? It's all God. And that's kind of a side note, but I wanted to bring it up because I know that practice really helped me, and to be able to, like, whatever's going on the outside, still be able to focus on what I need to focus on the inside, if that makes sense, instead of being distracted easily. So I wanted to bring that up. Maybe it might help someone out there, but it's important to take time to slow down, to appreciate the things you have instead of trying to be in sixth gear going after the things you don't have, that you think you need, you think will give you something. But honestly, it's a mindset, and God gives you everything. It really comes, the things that we seek, the joy, the fulfillment, the peace, the security, having no fear, having no worries, no stress. That is literally something that's already yours, but the enemy is constantly bombarding us with messages to keep us in fear, to keep telling us that we don't have what we need, and we're not complete, without these things on the outside of us. But let me tell you, you've got everything you need. And it's important to take time to slow down, to appreciate that, and also to try to be aware of that. And through thanking the Lord and being appreciative, really, that gives you peace. Because you realize you're getting caught up in all this BS. Now, I can tell you this, okay? But of course, you have to experience it yourself. I'm giving what I've learned through my experiences and suggestions. But really, you have to do it, and you have to choose. We all have free will. Each of us have free will. But if you desire it, if you involve God in your life, and if you slow down to focus on Him, and slow down to really try to focus on being love and focus on living in the moment, and maybe just take some deep breaths and just look around at, like, the trees. Even if you're in the city, there's trees, there's birds. There's the things that I used to not really be aware of that I am so aware of, much more now. And there's a lot more to it than what I saw before. And it's really magical because God uses all of creation. Like, be aware of your thoughts, what you're thinking at the time, and then also, like, something will grab your attention right at the right time of what you're thinking. There's no coincidences. That's how God speaks. All right? It's perfect timing and the perfect thing to grab your attention. Because He's speaking to just you, and He knows you. But I'm kind of going off a little bit on tracks. But if you don't take time to slow down, it's going to be impossible to hear God because you're just focused on you and the physical and what you're doing and then the physical things you need and all that stuff. You need to slow down really to hear God because God is love and love is gentle. Love is kind. Love doesn't pressure, does not use fear, does not do that stuff, and gives you free will, okay? You have the free will and the power to be aware of what you want to be aware of. You have the free will and the power to have your own conclusions on if you see the glass is half full or the glass is half empty. You have that power. It's not, things outside of you do not have that power over you. Now, things affect you, but the way you see it, the way you act in reaction to it is totally up to you. And if you want to be joyful, you can be joyful. But you really helps knowing who you are, okay, who's an eternal being, creation of God, of infinite love, and to know that this life and everything here in the physical is temporary, and the gifts and the things that you go through, there's a purpose and end, expected end that's good, and that gives you gifts and blessings for eternity. It really, that's why you need to slow down and put things into perspective. Now, if you don't believe what I just said, you have to, but if you desire it, involve God, ask God, but you have to really feel that feeling. You have to desire it. You have to be it. Like I mentioned before, you can't just say it. Okay? If you want to, I've said this before, if you want to race cars, you're going to be a race car driver. You're going to get in cars, you're going to figure out the best way to go around curves at the fastest rate. I mean, you're going to figure this stuff out and you're going to practice it. It takes work. It's not easy. Anything in life, including our spiritual life, okay? But if you don't even think that we have a spirit, if you're trapped in the physical, you're never really working on it. I mean, you're working on it, but it could be better knowing who you, it's just easier. There's many things in the physical that stress us and fear and all that stuff because we think there's randomness and other people can have control and all that stuff, right? But that's not true. And the truth makes you free. And God is truth. So involve God. Be true and authentic. That's stuff I've talked about. It's all connected. And it all works together. Now, I'm definitely no expert, but I have had, God has led me down a path that has allowed me to focus on this stuff and not be distracted in many ways for most of my adult life. So, and there's a purpose, and I know specifically 2.5, 3 years ago when he really woke me up, it was for a reason, but the reason wasn't for me, it was for me, but for all of us. It was for all of us. So I need to share what I've learned. You take from it what you will, but I can't tell anybody what to do, think, and there's no way. We all have free will. If the Lord Almighty does not break your free will, there's no way, we can't break each other's free will. There's no way. It's not even the right thing to do. So, because that's not love. But anyways, this is kind of long, but I wanted to really stress this in case you don't slow down. If you're not aware of the importance of just slowing down and just taking in your surroundings and really appreciate things around you and the things that you have over the things that you don't have, because God gives you what you need. We can get caught up in our ego. We can get caught up in jealousy. We can get caught up in fear that motivates us and makes us think we don't have what we need, but we do, okay? And you are more important and precious and unique and special and powerful than what this world tells you, okay? Keep that in mind always. You may not, you're not going to believe it all the time. You're not going to think it all the time. You're not going to feel it all the time. But know it. And that's why God is the rock, because he never changes and he loves you infinitely. And if you exist, he loves you. There's no doubt in that. So, anyways, if you like the video, please thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Ring-a-ding-a-ling that bell for notifications to let you know when I upload videos. And as always, stay strong and God bless.